Hello, welcome to Tony's Bonsai. I've got a really interesting common juniper here. I managed to get some good movement into it last year, so I think now's a good time to improve those branches and start developing it as a bonsai. After the initial wiring, I just let it grow, and as you can see, it's put on tons of healthy new growth and it's in a really good condition. I've zoomed in here to show you the main structure of the tree, and it's really quite nice. The trunk comes up here. There's a primary branch there which is nice and healthy and it's got some good movement in it, but then the trunk comes around and we've got a couple of lovely branches that also move up in this direction. As we follow this main trunk around, it comes round to this point and then sweeps down here. So it is quite long and it's almost turning into a kind of cascade, which I don't like, so I think this has to come off. As I rotate the tree around to the side, you can see we do have some nice options of branches coming off this section of the trunk. So I'm unsure at the moment where exactly to cut back to, but what I know for sure is that I don't want this bottom section, which is the cascade. When I think about this, we have got a couple of very nice branches, and it seems a shame keeping this long piece in when it's just not necessary. And it doesn't fit in with the overall design, so I'm going to take that off there. From the front of the tree now we can see it looks a lot more natural and the branch tapers into these two branches, and I think that works really well. I've been doing a lot of thinking about this tree. I initially thought I'll remove this branch because this is a weird branch. It's coming from the bottom. I thought I could possibly increase this bend here. But I've already got a lot of quite contorted junipers, and what I'm beginning to see now is that I really like this curve. I like this one. It's coming forward, but it very easily can be bent up to give us a curve there. And this one here could also be curved around, and I could create something, although it might not look very naturalistic, I think it'll be really interesting. And I'm going to go for it. This one has to come off to allow me to bend this branch here. You may say, why don't I remove this here and have that just twisting up there? Why curve this around? But it is a good question. But what I like about removing this one is that this branch that's left will really sweep round in a lovely curve, whereas this is a bit of an elbow. And I think it'll fit in with the almost strange design that I want to put into place, so I'll take that off. I'm going to leave this primary branch here for the time being. I'm not sure how the shape of this branch is going to work in with the rest of the design, so I'll sort of get this stuff done first and then come back to this later. I've wired up these 5 branches on this side. So now all I need to do is just sort of go around one at a time, introducing the movement into them that I want, which is this, as I said earlier, it's this curved motion. So this one's coming up, and that's already more or less sat in that position. But the one behind it, I very much need to create that curve myself. There we go. So we've got a definite repetition of movement, but I don't want them all just on one plane, even though it's not really a realistic looking tree in many ways because of this kind of movement that I've added. But I still don't want it flat. I want it three-dimensional, so I've got those curves there, which look great. Now I have a branch here, and I don't think I'll ever want that branch because it's always going to cover up this curve, and I want to see that curve, so that can go. So I like that. I'm liking these curving shapes. This one under here, what I want to do with this is, ideally, is following that curved pattern and bring this around in a curve itself, like that. So I'm beginning to develop a It's quite dramatic, I think. I like the drama of this. I don't know what to do in here. This is a bit more tricky. This one naturally curves around. So I can give that a curve. Again, I can remove this because I want to see that curve. So we can see it there almost going in behind this one. I like that. And then this one just comes out very straight. We've got a lower view here, and I think the best solution to this branch is going to be to continue the curve but continue it out this way. So I will apply a twist to this as a curve. There. How's that look there? Yeah, it's hard to see from the camera, but I do quite like that. But I don't want it to sort of shield this at the back. Again, I can cut some of these twigs off, because if all they're going to do is sort of shield this and stop us seeing these wonderful curves that are partly natural and partly created by me, then I don't want anything that's going to obscure that view. So that's good. And we can just bring that up there like that. And again, we're getting that kind of sweeping motion. Which I like. It's almost like, we used to call them mags on our BMXs, those magged spokes that used to come round, and I kind of like that effect. It's quite weird, but I think it works quite well. So I don't really need to do any more to these branches. Next I need to look at this. I've been taking a good look at this branch, and I don't think I necessarily need to do too much with it in terms of its shape. What I do need to do though is remove this branch that's, again, a bit like this side. It's coming down in a kind of cascade. I'm going to cut it right back. This seems like a very natural place for me to remove that branch. I've said it on many of my other videos. This is the stage where I could go in with my scissors and remove a lot of this downward pointing growth and try to make it look a bit better, but my philosophy is that this tree is best now left to recover, to grow healthily, and we can come back to it maybe in the summer when I remove the wire and start looking at doing some work then. But for the time being, I'm happy to just leave it. The only thing I will do is this branch, it is thick enough, so I want to hold that back a bit. And by taking the tips off these branches, that'll just slow the growth of this branch down, which is what I want. So I have done that there, but apart from that, everything else can just sit as it is, and I think that's quite an interesting tree. When I first started bonsai, I was very much in the mindset that a bonsai should look like a small version of a large tree, and that's the basic principle. However, as time goes on, I'm really quite drawn to trees that are almost, you know, the handprint of the bonsai artist is very much evident on the tree. And you can see that it's like a cross between sort of bonsai and art in some ways. And I just love it. I wouldn't want all my trees like this, but seeing as I've got a lot of junipers, I love to create something a little different. So I hope you've enjoyed hearing my thought process and how I've approached this tree, and I look forward to showing you this in the spring and the summer when I remove the wire, and then hopefully start maybe developing some of the branches and the pads to eventually showcase all this structure that I've been building. As always, thanks for joining me. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.